This week is the start of the Japan Series in NPB. In Korea, the KBO playoffs are underway, and in Taiwan, they are in the final week of the CPBL regular season. When you think of the star players in these leagues, you probably first think of pitching, and there's a good reason for that. But a few hitters had some absolutely phenomenal seasons, and they need to be recognized. I normally do this as a top 5 ranking from each league, but since each league was dominated by one hitter, I just want to talk about the very best ones. A ranking is good to do when you've got competition for the title of best hitter, so you can compare the individual players. But this year there was no competition. I set out to do this as a top 5 from NPB Central and Pacific Leagues, and the KBO and the CPBL. But then I'd be talking about 20 different players. Instead, I want to highlight how great of a season these 4 players had. I'll mention a couple other players, but mostly concentrate on these 4. I'll name the 2 best hitters in Japan, one for Central and one for Pacific League, though Pacific League was the one league without a truly dominant hitter. Starting with the most obvious one, in NPB Central League, Munetaka Murakami had a season for the ages. The 22-year-old third baseman for the reigning Japan Series champion Tokyo Yakult Swallows was the 2021 Central League MVP. However, that's only due to the fact that in Japan, the league MVP can only come from the pennant-winning team, and he was the best player on the team. This year, they could remove that requirement and he would still be the unanimous choice. The biggest reason is his 56 home runs, the second most ever in NPB history. And the next highest home run total in Central League this year was Kazuma Okamoto of the Yomiuri Giants, with 30. So Murakami almost doubled the home run total of the second guy on the list. As you'd expect, his RBI total was well above the rest. He easily led the league with 134 driven in. The next highest RBI total belonged to Shugo Maki of the Yokohama DNA Baystars, with just 87. Much closer was the race for the batting title, but he won that too. His .318 average was a little better than the .314 average of Yohei Oshima of the Chunichi Dragons. Put all that together and you have a Triple Crown winner, the first Triple Crown winner since 2004, and the youngest ever to do it. Maybe you don't place much value on the Triple Crown, so you've got to look at all the other categories he topped. Walks, he drew 118 walks. The next guy on the list was Yoshihiro Maru of the Giants with only 80. A batting champion who draws the most walks, of course, is the leader in on-base percentage. His was .458. Oshima was next at .376. His slugging was a league best .710, way ahead of second place Shugo Maki at .507. His OPS was 1.168. Maki was second at .861. And usually a hitter like this won't steal any bases, but Murakami stole 12, putting him in the top 10 in Central League. It's hard to find a weakness with this guy. He does strike out a lot, 128 times for the third highest strikeout total in Central League, but it was down slightly from last year while seeing huge increases in all his offensive numbers. Over 2 games, he homered in 5 consecutive plate appearances, a new NPB record. He almost set another NPB record when he reached base safely in 14 consecutive plate appearances. The record is 15. He became the youngest player to hit 40 home runs, let alone 50, and the youngest to drive in 100 runs in 2 straight seasons. And of course, he's got a Japan Series title from last year with a chance to earn another one this year. And he's only 22. It's going to be really exciting to see what he does from here. In Pacific League, the best hitter was Oryx Buffalo's outfielder Masataka Yoshida. Out of the 4 best hitters I'm mentioning here, he's the least dominant one. The only one where there could be somewhat of an argument against him. But I feel like we've got to have a separate mention for Pacific League. And if we look at what he's done this season, you'll see he's clearly the best hitter. His .335 average was second best in Pacific League. That's down from .339 a year ago and .350 2 years ago. He won the batting title in both of those years. The only one who batted higher was Go Matsumoto of the Nippon Ham Fighters, who hit .347. But Yoshida was also second in Pacific League with 80 walks, and he was first in the more important category of on-base percentage at .447. Matsumoto was second, but not anywhere close at .398. He only struck out 41 times for a walk-to-strikeout ratio of nearly 2-1. And he's not just an on-base guy, he's got some power too. 28 doubles and 21 homers, 4th in both categories. This despite missing 24 games. His slugging was the league's second best at .561. OPS was the league's best at 1.008. He doesn't steal much but was successful in all 4 base stealing attempts. One other player that could have a claim to being Pacific League's best hitter is Hotaka Yamakawa of the Seibu Lions. He was the league leader in home runs with 41, 14 ahead of the next guy on the list. The slugging leader at .578, ahead of Yoshida's .561. Third in on-base percentage, .375. Third in walks, .68. And second in OPS, .953. So Yamakawa comes out way ahead in home runs, a little ahead in slugging. Yoshida was a little ahead in walks and OPS, far ahead in batting and on-base percentage. One argument against Yoshida is that he missed 24 games, but Yamakawa missed 14, not a big difference there. Most will agree that Yoshida comes out as the winner here. However, his accomplishments have not only been overshadowed by Murakami, who had a much bigger season over in Central League, but also by his teammate Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the best pitcher in the league. So for the second year in a row, Masataka Yoshida is the best hitter on a pennant-winning team, yet will not get the Pacific League MVP award. But that doesn't make his 2022 season any less valuable. In Korea, it was 24-year-old Kiwoom Heroes first baseman Jung-Hoo Lee who dominated in the KBO. Just 2 years older than Murakami, and like him, led the league in most major categories. Though it didn't come with the excitement of a home run record chase, Lee's 2022 season was just as amazing. He compares more with Yoshida than Murakami, not a big home run hitter or base stealer. He hit 23 home runs, which tied him for 5th in the KBO, 5 for 5 in stolen base attempts, but he could really hit the ball. His .349 average earned him the batting title. That included a .387 average with runners in scoring position, and a league-leading 193 hits. He drew 66 walks, bringing his on-base percentage up to .421, which also topped the league. He only struck out 32 times, so his walk-to-strikeout ratio was 2-1. As I mentioned before, top 5 in home runs, 10 triples to lead the league, and 36 doubles ranked 4th. That added up to a league-best .575 slugging and a .996 OPS. Number 1 in RBI with 113. He did this in 142 games, only sat out 2 games all year. And we know this wasn't a fluke. In 2021, he slashed .360, .438, .522. This was his 6th year in the KBO, with career highs in OPS, slugging, hits, triples, RBI, home runs, and walks. And while he's not much of a base-stealing threat, he was before, and could be again. This was his first season without double-digit steals. With great numbers like that, you might think there's no other hitter worth mentioning in the KBO. But there is. 32-year-old outfielder Jose Perella of the Samsung Lions was a close second in several of those categories, batting .342, hits .192, just 1 hit behind Lee, on-base percentage .411, slugging .565, OPS .976, RBI .109. Right behind Lee in doubles with 33, 4 triples ranking 6th in the KBO, hit more home runs with the league's second highest total at 28, and stole more bases, 15 steals, caught 5 times. A great season, but when you compare the numbers, Lee comes out ahead in nearly every category, so he's the obvious choice. Lee is only 24 and putting up big numbers year after year. He's going to need a new challenge soon, so he'll be one to look out for. Now to Taiwan CPBL. Just like NPB and KBO, there was one dominant hitter that stood out above the rest, but prepare to be underwhelmed by the numbers for this one. If you watched the CPBL 2 years ago, you'll remember it was very much a hitter's league, with lots of scoring. Then it was revealed that the ball was juiced, and at midseason it was dejuiced. Scoring was reduced, and hitters fell off the record pace they'd been on. Now it's gone too far in the opposite direction. Lots of flyouts that would have gone over the fence in any previous season. So the hitters' numbers are unimpressive to say the least. Think more about how the best hitter stands out compared to the rest of the league. Don't compare his numbers to NPB or KBO hitters. They still have a couple games left in their 120-game schedule, but it's pretty much done. Nothing will happen over the weekend that will change the fact that 26-year-old third baseman Lee Lin of the Rakuten Monkeys is the CPBL's best hitter. The league batting leader at .337, next best is brothers hitter Kun Yu Chung at .318. Also the league leader in hits with 137. Doesn't walk a lot, more of a free swinger. He's drawn 39 walks, 8th most in the league. Still, he has the league's second best on-base percentage at .392. He is the league leader in home runs with 14. Yes, 14 is enough to lead the league this year, 1 ahead of Dragons hitter Gongkwan Galigulao. League leader in doubles with 29, 8 more than the next highest. 2 triples puts him in the top 10. Slugging is .521, easily the highest in the CPBL. Put it all together, he's got a .913 OPS, well ahead of second place Tsu Hao Chen at .856. Lin is also the RBI leader with 77. Chen is next on the RBI list with just 64. So he's in line to win the Triple Crown right now. The only category in danger is home runs. If he holds on to that, he'll win the crown. And you don't see this often, a potential Triple Crown winner who's in the top 5 in steals. He's 20 out of 26 in stolen base attempts, good for 4th in the league. This is his 6th season in the CPBL, all spent with the Monkeys. He was a member of 3 Taiwan Series championship teams in each of his first 3 seasons, and he's been one of the league's best hitters for a while now. In fact, the only career high he's reached this year is in doubles. In 2019, he slashed .389, .440, .639. In 2020, he hit 25 home runs. In 2021, he stole 27 bases. But this year was his most balanced. And of course, as I mentioned, it's hard for anyone to hit the ball in the CPBL this year. He hasn't won an MVP yet. That has gone to Brothers pitcher Jose DePaula the last 2 years. When it was a hitter's league, the best starting pitcher was the most valuable. But in a year like this, I'd say a dominant hitter like Lynn deserves the award. Anyway, that's all for this one. Until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.